The version of you from 10 years ago would not recognize the person reading this right now. Not because you changed your job, or your city, or the way you dress. Something quieter moved. Your sense of what is acceptable shifted, one small measurement at a time, and you were never in the room when it happened. For decades, governments and institutions have understood a simple truth about human perception. Long before neuroscience gave it a name, those in power had already discovered a flaw in how people perceive change and built entire strategies around it. Which raises an uncomfortable question. What if this shift didn't happen to you, but through you on purpose? Here is the flaw. Your brain does not compare your current situation to where you started. It compares it to the last step you took, only the last one. Psychologists call it a shifting baseline. Each new normal becomes invisible the instant it's accepted, because it's measured against yesterday, never against the beginning. Governments discovered this flaw in human perception long before neuroscience gave it a name. And once you can predict how a mind compares, you don't need force, you just need patience. If your mind compares wrong by design, who benefits from that flaw? This is where it compounds. Every authority that has ever held power has used some version of the same structure. Introduce something in steps so small that no single step justifies resistance. Step 1 feels foreign and it gets resisted. But step 2 is only measured against step 1, so it feels smaller than it is. By step 10, the resistance from step 1 has almost disappeared. By step 20, it's gone. The most dangerous step is never the first one. It's delivered last, to a mind that has already forgotten how far it's traveled. Why does the version of you that should resist hardest end up resisting the least? And here is the part that should genuinely unsettle you. None of this requires a single lie. Every step can be announced honestly, in full public view, and the technique still works. Because the manipulation was never in what was said. It was in the spacing and repetition of how it was delivered. This works even when nobody lies to you. And that is exactly why institutions prefer it. It leaves no lie to catch, no statement to fact check, nothing to point to. And knowing this mechanism exists doesn't save you either, because the comparison isn't happening in the part of your mind that reasons. It's happening beneath it. So what actually breaks this? Not memory. Memory has already moved with you, quietly rewritten by every step along the way, which makes it useless as a reference point. The only defense is returning to your original starting point, deliberately comparing your current position to a fixed point you wrote down in the past before any of the steps began. Not what you remember believing, what you actually wrote when you had no reason to lie to yourself. That single act restores the one thing the mechanism depends on you losing, your original starting point. Knowing the technique exists changes nothing, unless you change what you're comparing yourself to. So think back to that stranger from 10 years ago. The one who would be horrified by something you now accept without a second thought. You don't have to defend it. You don't even have to name it in the comments. Just notice that it exists. Because the moment you can name it is the moment you stop being the last step in someone else's gradient and start asking whether your beliefs truly changed or whether your baseline quietly moved without you ever noticing.